Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy, King David, checking back in for another exclusive. Y'all see I got my North City shirt today. You dig? Love God, love people, be changed. My home church. Not afraid to say it. Love the direction we're moving in. We're moving more into the education side, as far as the history of our people, black people, right? You know, what the Bible really says, who translated it, and whatnot. We got some really powerful things going on, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So I rep my church. Well, this is what I had on today, but I rep my home church. Everywhere, anywhere. Because I know that we are not bound by religion. And my faith, my spirituality does not interfere with my consciousness. In fact, they go hand in hand. They sharpen each other like iron. So, but the reason why I'm stopping by today, family, is to let you hear my thoughts on Prince Rogers Nelson. Prince, the purple one. The artist for me noticed Prince, the symbol. You dig? My boy. Hold on. Alright, cool. Yes, so as I'm sure that many of you have heard by now, that Prince died here recently, a couple days ago, as a matter of fact. And the details around his death are, how should I say, very suspicious, very suspect, very funny style. Right? Now, any of you who know Prince like I know Prince, I'm a huge fan of Prince. I know I rarely talk about my musical choices, my musical influence, but let me tell you, Prince is the God. Prince is a God among all artists. You're talking about a childhood prodigy, played like over 50 instruments. Constantly recording. His showmanship was off the chain. His musical choices was off the chain. Like, Prince is the reason why people cannot be afraid to be in multiple genres, because since Prince came out, he's been free. Prince has always been free. He has never been bound by the expectations that black people, white people, Jews, record label. He's never been bound by what they think he should do. He's always been bound to his spirit and what his heart tells him to do. You talking about a man who first album dropped 78 For You. I believe that's his first album. Now, you're talking about from 78 to 2016, you're talking about years and years. You're talking about almost 40 years worth of musical genius, and would have given us more if they hadn't killed him. And we'll go into that here shortly. But back to the subject at hand. Prince made it okay to not only love multiple genres that most black people really invented, but to do them simultaneously and add to his greatness. Prince has had pop, rock, hip-hop, R&B, soul, jazz, classical, funk, like, you name it, he's done it. And he performed pretty much all of his records by himself. Played all the instruments. I believe he does all his background vocals. Total workaholic, and it shows. But he never got caught up in what the Hollywood lifestyle was. They never could catch Prince up because Prince has always been free. He has always been knowledgeable about who he is. Prince has been an individual since day one. And white folk couldn't stand the fact that they couldn't put Prince in a box. Yes, it's cool for our pockets, but when it comes down to doing business, that's something entirely different. Because now he got to get paid. And Prince is one of them people, the reason why he changed his name is because his record label tried to tell him that they owned the rights to his name, Prince. And thus, on all the music that he recorded on it, now this was in the mid-90s, early mid-90s, he was going head-to-head against Warner Brothers. Pretty sure Warner Brothers is Jewish. I mean, if you think about it, most Hollywood, movie producers, record producers, labels, film studios are owned by the Jewish people. And if you think about it, Jews, Germany, Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers. See, not Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers. You see, it's the same, but it's Americanized. He went head-to-head up against them. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to just change my name. If you think you own me, I'm just going to change my name. You don't own me. So, I'm now going to be known as the artist formerly known as Prince. Then he came back a little bit later, and they was, they had to have time to regroup. They say, well, that still has the name Prince in it, so we're practically, we own that too. We're not going to lie to you. We own that too. And he was like, okay, well, change my name to the symbol. They couldn't stop your boy. They been trying to get him ever since the 90s because Prince never let nobody put him in the box. Prince like, I own this. I own all of this. He like, all of this is my brainchild. Y'all didn't have a hand in none of this music that I did. None of it. And then the fact that his name is Prince. Excuse me. His name is Prince. Prince Rogers Nelson. That is his birth name. How can you own something that this man created by himself using his birth name? It's different if you come into a record label and they say, well, here's your name. Well, we own the rights to that name. He was like, nah, that's not even finna go down. But, somebody, his career has spanned practically 40 years and had no intentions of slowing down. He's done, 2 Super Bowls? 3 maybe? First of all, ain't everybody done Super Bowls. It takes a major artist to do a Super Bowl. You really got to be good when you come back 2 and 3 times. I'm not a huge Beyonce fan, but Beyonce's done the Super Bowl like 2 or 3 times. She did one with like her, and then she brought out Destiny's Child, and then she did this most recent one with Formation and all this other stuff. So, I mean, salute to her. I respect her hustle. I respect her grind. I'm not a huge Beyonce fan, but she gets it in. And you have to be of a level of superstardom if you play the Super Bowl. Crossover appeal You talking about somebody who never changed. Sure, he cleaned up his image as he got older. He became a Jehovah's Witness. But he still was uncompromising in who he was. That's why so many people gravitated to him. Black people, white people, Asians, these people, that people. Everybody gravitated towards Prince. No lie. 57, vegan, better shape than most people, especially half his age. And then you're talking about all the music he hasn't released. Prince is a monster in the studio, a straight monster. He has records that are unreleased that he will have enough music to put out several albums for the next several years. You can quote me on that. Prince has so much music in his catalog. He can do whatever he wants to. He would have never had to record another track in his life. And he still could have put out music for the rest of his life and then some. That's how bad he was. He could just pick and choose. This one. Let me grab this one. Okay, that's a good one. Let me grab that one. Let me grab that one. Now, that's who he was. Prince has also always been an enlightened brother. He's always been conscious. If you look at his symbol, and I'll put that up on the screen. When you look at his symbol, it is a variation of the Egyptian Ankh that is supposed to have the male and the female symbol together. If you look at Prince's symbol, it is just a variation of an Ankh. It's you know, it's got a couple of different swoops and stuff in there. It's the same symbol, right? Prince has addressed multiple political and social issues and spiritual things in his music. He has discussed so many things. He had a song from one of my favorite albums, Around the World in a Day, you know, Paisley Park. Basically, Paisley Park is a, how I should put this, it's a variation of what heaven could be. If there is a heaven, if there is an afterlife, Paisley Park is that. A park for misfits, for everybody, especially the people who are not accepted by society, to come in and be loved like everybody else. You have songs like The Ladder, also from the same Around the World in a Day album, The Ladder, you know, dealing with spirituality. Everybody wants to find the ladder. These are the lyrics. Say, everybody wants to find the ladder. Everybody wants salvation of the soul. And what's the use of half the story, half a dream? But this is what this man was dealing with back in the day. People don't even realize it because he does such a good job of masking it in order for you to cause you to think. When you sitting there, it sounds really superficial. A lot of his lyrics sound superficial. But when you actually delve into what this brother's talking about, he deals with a lot of spirituality, a lot of awareness. You know, he has a song about America. America, America, God shed his grace on thee. You know, America, keep our children free. These are the lyrics. I can't make this up. That's not including songs like Thieves in the Temple, Purple Rain. You see what I'm saying? Colonized Minds. One that was more recently, that was done a few years ago. Colonized Minds. The brother is like light years beyond everybody else. There will never, ever, 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 ever be another Prince. When God made Prince, he broke the mold. Prince to me is better than Michael, hands down. Like Michael doesn't even compare. And I love Michael Jackson. But if you put Michael Jackson next to Prince, he don't compare. At least as far as I'm concerned, that's not shitting on Michael Jackson. I love his music. But I like Prince more. He has a wide variety of topics and musical styles and a lot of these things. And his showmanship was off the chain. So not only is he giving you a message in his music, when you see him on stage, dude clowns. He dances. He does the splits. Man, you'll be like, damn. Prince at concerts be exclusive. Showmanship. Even if you watch, I believe it was the last Super Bowl he did, he had the stage was, his symbol was the Ankh. This was a couple years ago. He had on, I believe it was an orange shirt, blue suit. And I was actually watching this NFL Network, different videos and stuff that they, drop on YouTube about, certain Super Bowl halftime shows and, different little tidbits of sports information and stuff like this here. They were saying how his stage was made out of a material that was really slick. When it was dry, when it was wet, made it damn near impossible to walk on without slipping and falling. So they're telling the story about how their people are on the stage because it had rained and the stage was real slippery and their people were busting up behind and falling. And they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We got Prince coming out and it has rained on the stage. This is going to be a disaster because the stage was wet. And when it's wet, it makes it slick. They don't know how he did it, but he came out and played like Prince always plays. He didn't come out half-assed. He brought his A game. He came out, he was dancing, he was playing the guitar, all his backup dancers was getting that groove on, the band was doing their thing. Nobody slipped and fall. They couldn't believe that. The white folk couldn't believe that. They like, how is he doing that? He's dancing. He's doing the splits. He's doing Prince, and he hasn't failed once. His backup dancers haven't failed. That's a testament to his greatness. Because your greatness expands the greatness of those around you. Much like Michael Jordan. The reason why the Bulls were so good was because Michael Jordan. They had good players, but Michael Jordan elevated the game of everybody else on the team. That's Prince. Always have been. And would never let nobody tell him that his music should go another direction. He didn't want to hear that. He an artist. And he a businessman. So, he protected himself. He really did. He did very few interviews. He was very cautious about the content that he put out there. So, how the media likes to take things and they twist it, which is the reason why he hardly ever did interviews. If you want to know something, you got to listen to the music. They had nothing on Prince. They didn't have no scandals, no messing around, no little boys, no drugging women, no nothing about that. They had nothing on Prince. Nothing. And that's why they killed him. Make no mistake, they killed him because he was a king. You want to know why he wore so much purple? Why he was called the Purple One? I believe that Prince knew he was a king. He knew from the very beginning that he was royalty. Purple, family, is the color of royalty. Back in the day, thousands of years ago, purple was the color of nobles, of royalty. If you didn't have some type of status, you couldn't wear purple. So think about it. All he wore for years and years was purple, to the point where they called him the Purple One. And he always put that image, purple, purple, purple. He always put that out there. He knew he was a king. Prince knew. Prince was very conscious. I'm not sure how conscious he was in the beginning, but I know here recently he went back to the afro, because he had an afro originally. And he got back to the afro the last few years. And he actually made a real power move. He bought his catalog, or sued his cat for his catalog, whatever it was. But either way, his entire musical catalog, he just recently received from Warner Brothers. Now, you're talking about at least 15, 20 years of music that Warner Brothers owned. And in fact, he came out and said not too long ago that if he had a choice, he would have never signed Warner Brothers. He would have been independent from Jump Street. Do you know how much money Prince would have amassed if he was independent from Jump Street? And we know what happens when a black man gets too much money. He has too much power. He has to go. They killed him. I cannot stress that enough. They, being A, white supremacist, and B, Jews, right? Probably one and the same, because you do have Jewish white supremacists. You have a whole lot of them. Knew how much money he was going to get from all the royalties from his music. He won his catalog. He had all of his music scrubbed from the internet, so people could no longer get free Prince music. If you want Prince music, you got to pay. And I believe he had an exclusive streaming contract with Spotify or Tidal, one of those streaming companies. He had an exclusive deal to stream his music. That's a lick. Not only is that money for the streaming company, that's money in his pocket, because he controlled his content. When you control your content, you control your money. You see what I'm saying? When you make sure that your content is the only stuff that's getting out there, and the bootleggers and the jackers are getting their just desserts by different means, depending on the situation. Different people handle it differently. But we know that you got to put a stop to the bootleggers in order for your product to prosper. Because if everybody has the bootleg, they're not going to go buy your album. But they knew how much money that was, and they killed him. A couple weeks ago, he had the flu. Had the flu a week or two, wasn't getting better, went to the hospital. Somehow he was in the hospital for a couple days, checked himself out. A week or two later, mysteriously, he's dead. Now, if you know Prince like I know Prince, right? One, vegan, which means he eats very healthy. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, anything. Doesn't shoot up, never does drugs, The only damage from his body might be his hips and knees, because he's a dancer and all of the dancing that he has done over the years. But overall, Prince was a perfect picture of health. You're talking about somebody who was in better shape than people half his age. Okay? So, you mean to tell me he had the flu and mysteriously he died sometime after that? When the hell has anybody died from the flu? And how did he get the flu anyways? Did you think about that? How did Prince get this flu? Look, when you amass too much money and too much power, the white supremacists will kill you. They will either kill you or they'll kill your career to the point where nobody will want to fuck with you. So, Michael had not only his catalog, half of his catalog of music, he also owned all of Elton John's music, the Beatles, and Elvis, all of their catalogs, probably more people. Now, if you don't know, Elvis, the Beatles, Elton John are white gods, much like Aerosmith and, different people. You know what I'm saying? Gods of white people. Not only are you mad because this nigga is not going to own our God's music, he has too much money. They was trying to fuck with Michael, y'all. Understand when I tell you this. They was trying to fuck over Michael. That's why he was isolated in the last couple years of his life, and he retreated to the safety of his home because they was trying to fuck with him tough, and they was doing it. He ain't the only one. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby may or may not have raped those women. I seriously doubt it. You talking about black man, white woman, 60s, 70s. There's a lot of drugs being going around, being passed out. And, honestly, what do you do when you want to fuck some girl? What's your pleasure? Weed, liquor, pills? What's it going to take for you to bust it open? Oh, well, I like doing Quaaludes. Oh, okay. Nigga got a Quaalude man. Hey, yeah, I need you to bring a couple of Quaaludes by. Okay, all right, see you in 20. Bam. That's what we do. Now look at him. They stripped him of his Netflix specials and took all of his shows off the air and took all of these different world and stuff off of Netflix, I believe. Killed his career. And they killed his son. Not by accident. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston had a pretty nice catalog of music too. They killed her. And they killed her daughter. This is not by coincidence, family. This is by design. But I will say this, and then I'll get out of here. When you know the truth, when you speak truth to power, when you know who you are, when you know that you're free and can't no man put you in a box, when they realize that they can't buy you, when they can't blackmail you, when they can't find any dirt on you, they will kill you. Let's be clear. When you start speaking truth to power and you are a free man, they will kill you if you get too large. If your following gets too big, they will kill you. They will put informants on you. Much like they did Malcolm, Martin, the Black Panthers, Marcus Garvey, Medgar Evers. When you start speaking truth, you have to be prepared to die. You have to. That's not to say that you want to die, but when you start speaking truth to power and you are free, and they know they can't control you, better watch your back. I say, don't isolate yourself. Surround yourself with people who can protect you. Look at the minister, Farrakhan. They've been wanting to kill Farrakhan for years. They've been wanting to get at Farrakhan for years. Because he is a black man who is speaking truth to power. And they can't stand it. But he has the fruit of Islam protecting him. They can't get access to the minister. But they want to. They still plotting. They still plotting on the minister. They just can't figure out how the way to get access to him. It's a shame the way they did my brother, family. It really is. It hurt me to my core that they killed Prince. He was one of the realest to ever do it. But he left a mighty legacy for us to look at. A mighty legacy. And the beautiful thing about it is we can always go back and listen to the message in our music. In his music. In Michael's music. In Whitney's music. Whoever. It's always going to be there for you to go back and realize that he was talking about some real deal stuff. Earth, Wind, and Fire was another one. They was talking about some real deal stuff back in the 70s. Okay? We just have to patronize these people and understand that what they were saying then applies just as much then as it does today. So, that's it, family. I appreciate you watching this. Like I say, rest in power to the God Prince. You're an ancestor now, my brother. May your spirit watch over us along with Percy Sledge. Rest in peace to him. Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, rest in peace to her. You're all ancestors. May your spirit guide us and help us to move forward in this new day and age. Peace, fam.